If you've ever worked in an office before, then I can almost guarantee that you've heard of iiyama. They're usually seen up and down the country in corporate locations as basic monitors for the office computers, but now they're branching out into the gaming market, and we're lucky enough here at TechNuovo to check out one of their new offerings, the iiyama G2470HSU. The panel here is 24 inches inside, though there is a 27-inch panel available if that's more for you. It has a matte finish and has a max resolution of 1920 by 1080p with a 165Hz refresh rate and is built around IPS technology. It is extremely bright, measuring at 369 nits at 100% brightness on my panel here, but when it comes to 0% brightness, it's still kicking out 139 nits of brightness, which is still somewhat bright. It does give a decent color, though we'll get into that in a moment because some work had to go into this monitor to get it nice and accurate. The contrast ratio advertised by iiyama is 1100:1, and when I ran the monitor through a calibration, I found that it really sat closer to 1170:1 at 100% brightness and 1100:1 at 50% brightness. So all good with its contrast. Color accuracy, however, pre-calibration was pretty terrible. It came back with an average delta E of 3.7, so okay, not really that bad, I'm being a little bit harsh, but it did have a maximum of 7.12 and a minimum of 1.31. This was disappointing to see because after a calibration using my Datacolor Spider Elite, it improved a hell of a lot, but it means having extra gear to get it to that stage, and not everyone is going to have that gear. It's not expensive by any means, but it's not ideal if you've already purchased your nice shiny monitor. After the calibration though, the average delta E hit 0.92 with a max of 4.32 and a minimum of 0.11. This max number was let down unfortunately by the blue color tones, but this isn't something new and we've seen this before. And finally on color, the monitor hit 99% sRGB, 77% Adobe RGB and 78% P3 color gamuts, so nice and perfect for gaming, but not so great for color grading your photos or video content. Now I did also find, however, that the monitor aligned more towards the green side, which I needed to counteract by adding a little red from the RGB menu. Not a huge deal, but I would have liked to have seen a little more accuracy in the colors from the box. At 50% brightness, the iiyama G2470HSU overall was pretty decent, though had a hotspot on the right hand side. At 100% brightness though, its uniformity wasn't good, with hotspots appearing again on the right, but some really intense dark spots appearing at the top left and middle. The backlight bleed was exceptionally well controlled, so this is probably why, and was very surprised for this panel not to really be affected by it considering its price. But as this is a gaming panel, let's talk about gaming. Now, being a 165Hz refresh panel, your frame rates are going to be nice and buttery smooth. The iiyama monitor here performed, I must say, pretty well, playing first-person shooters, titles like Battlefield 2042 and colourful titles like Overwatch, and being a 1080p resolution monitor, it made the games extremely easy to drive. Now, I'm running a Ryzen 7 5800X and a 4070 Ti here on my PC, so games that I threw at it performed exceptionally well. Even playing through slower titles like V Rising, which I'm playing through at the moment with Nick, looked great when flicking the camera around. Of course, having the gaming spec I do have, 1440p, would have offered that extra sharpness. But if you're a competitive gamer along the lines of, say, Valorant, Warzone, CSGO, or something similar, then the iiyama G2470HSU is perfect. Around the back, you can find a DisplayPort 1.2 and a HDMI 1.4. You don't really need anything quicker than these given the resolution to refresh rate, though if you are using a HDMI cable, do be wary that you will only be able to hit a maximum of 144Hz at 1080p because of that HDMI 1.4. You have got FreeSync Premium though for that variable refresh rate goodness, and I noticed no tearing while playing games. There is also a USB Type-B to receive from a desktop or laptop, which will power the USB Type-A hub, so you can plug your keyboard, mouse, wireless dongles and memory sticks and all of that directly into the monitor. It does also have a headphone jack, and the monitor is capable of audio playback. It sounds rough, so use a gaming headset or speakers, but that's really expected from any monitor these days. Its stand is also fairly basic. It has a nice surface area, so it's not taking up too much space on the desk. It's got two skinny feet coming to the front and one small at the back. It's got some cable management, which is basically a clip, which is nice if you're not mounting it. This version I have here, being the G, means that it only only has a tilt on the stand. The GB version has a swivel and a rotation as well. The cost between them isn't huge, so it might be worth going for the cheaper model if you don't really need the swivel or even the rotation. The monitor in its entirety is matte black by design with a very skinny bezel. There's no flashy RGB, colored plastic or anything like that here. It's just a very basic looking monitor. The menu is accessed via a number of buttons on the back right hand side, which is a bit old hat now and extremely fiddly to get right. iiyama should have gone with the analog stick style or joystick style controller here. Many times I did click a button thinking that I was selecting an option, only to find myself going back through the menus. Inside of the menus though, you can find your usual brightness, color temp settings, blue light filter, volume settings and all that kind of thing. For gaming though, you're probably going to want to stick to the first menu for your picture settings. There is an overdrive setting and I had this set at -1 as this seemed to work the best during our UFO test, and anything other than this seem to produce a really noticeable ghosting. In the settings, you've also got an NBR setting to aid with ghosting. However, I did keep that switched off because it darkened the panel significantly when it was on, and in my opinion, didn't really make a whole lot of difference to the overall ghosting effect that comes with the panel, especially as I already had my overdrive set to -1. And finally, the only other setting of note really towards gaming is with the black tuner, which will lighten darker areas. I kept this at +1 just to give shadows a bit of a lift, but I definitely don't need to ruin my colors to get competitive. I'm not a competitive gamer at all really. Its X-Res technology sharpens text, which didn't do a huge amount in my eyes, and its Pro color setting adds a preset color grade to things like text, FPS games, RTS games, and the like, racing games for example. I left them both off in the end. Now, despite the color being a little on the green side from the box, I actually think that iiyama has smashed it out of the park with the G2470HSU. Price-wise, you're looking at well under £200, which for a gaming monitor of this caliber is pretty fantastic. I've seen it for as little as £134 on the likes of eBuyer here in the UK, and you definitely cannot complain about that. Its minimum brightness is still a tad bright, but if you're someone who likes that kind of outright brightness at 100% in your face at all times, then you'll probably see no issue. For gaming and media playback, like movies and videos on YouTube, this monitor is just absolutely fantastic. Thank you very much for checking out this review video of the iiyama G2470HSU. If you did enjoy this video, please hit that like button, subscribe to keep up with our latest tech and gaming videos, and also let us know in the comments down below what you thought about this monitor. Is this something that you could see on your desk, or would you rather go for the 27-inch version? Let us know in the comments down below. As I say, thanks very much for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.